Hello, 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 and good evening, good morning. Big Jacko, thanks for stopping by. I see Icarus here is on the end of the runway. The flight plan consists of about 12 stops. We're starting at A34 and kind of whipping ourselves around to NV65. It's in Nevada, and it's mostly in area I used to live in, and almost all in, what do I want to say here, it's all in restricted airspace. But if you want to try some simple waypoints, you can go from the Alpha 34 over to NFL, which is the Fallon Naval Station, and then NV65 is the next real runway. Oh, I see you there. We'll give you a minute for everybody to get situated. It should be fun. I've only flown this bird once, so. Good, good. What about you, Big Jacko? You ready to jump in? Or should we wait a few minutes? Oh, that's a bummer. We're going right over, almost over where I used to live and right over where I used to work. I guess while we're waiting, I can get my autopilot set up. Big Jacko, just in case you can't find us, have you tried USA East for the server? Well, this is all desert, that's for sure. Definitely some interesting stuff along the way. I loved the job out here. I hated the area. I'm not a desert person. It's fun to visit, but living there, everything was brown. The rivers are brown. The trees are brown. Basics better than nothing. You don't have to hand fly the whole thing. Oh, that you that just popped in and started down the runway? Yep, that's him. This bird rolling. Yeah, we fly down the Carson River for a bit. And probably hand fly that first part down low along the river. Just for fun. Alright, let's give her hell. This bird is not as responsive as you would think for being such a little hot rod. Let's check my RPMs because I can't see them from up here. Yeah, that looks good. Everything looks good. I pull the power back a bit so I'm not running quite so fast. The Carson River runs out of Carson City out towards Lake Lahontan, I think's the name of it, if I remember right. Only been 20 years. And just this side of this butte right here, is a road. And my house used to be right over there. Oh, this is a monster desert. It's the entire southwestern part of the U.S. Now, as we come around here, right dead in front of me, this racetrack looking thing is actually Westrac. Let me get some external views of it here. This is Westrac. It's one of the very first, if not the first, driverless tractor trailers in the world. They used to drive around this track 23 hours a day with no driver to test the blacktop. And we used to have 4 tractor trailers, and then one day one decided he didn't want to stop. The rest of this facility is the Nevada Automotive Test Center by Hodges, and this is the name of the company. And this is where, if you're a fan of Top Gear, that's where James May raced the driverless military vehicle with the Range Rover. And if any of you are a fan of Trent Palmer's YouTube channel, right up here we're going to go right over where he landed the other day. Let me get my autopilot and we'll start. Letting that fly for a while. We'll start climbing. One thing about Westrac is, at the time it was running, it's not running now, but back when it was running, it was actually a military no-fly zone, because we actually used that military radio frequency for the tractor trailers followed a buried wire in the ground with sensors, and we used a military radio frequency so that nobody driving by with a car or a CB radio or anything crazy like that would key up a mic and have a bunch of tractor trailers chasing them down the road. That was Westrac, and out there at the Nevada Automotive Test Center, they do most of Chrysler, Jeep and Chrysler's off-road vehicles, as well as a lot of test and development of the U.S. Marine Corps' ground vehicles are tested out there. And if you happen to be a fan of, like I said, Trent Palmer and his Kit Fox, right here on the corner of this lake is where he landed the other day. In his video like a week or so ago was right here. This is Lake Lahontan. And there is an airport right up here at Silver Springs. A little bit of trivia about that airport is, during World War II, they had the airport painted like an aircraft carrier, and they even had cables on the ground so you could practice catching landing on an aircraft carrier out in the middle of the desert. And very shortly here, we're about to enter into our first of many restricted areas, restricted airspace. This is restricted from ground to unlimited. This first one is part of the Fallon Naval Air Station's electronic warfare testing range. If I'm totally outrunning you guys, I can slow it down a bit more and still stay in the air, but not much. Now we're in a true no-fly zone. It's funny because if you want to come into Fallon town by airplane, you have to come in from the north. No matter what, they're completely all the way around. On 3 sides is no-fly, restricted airspace. You can only come in from the north. I take it's either melon or honeydew this, honeydew that. Because if it's melon, interestingly enough, one of the valleys we're about ready to go fly down is considered Cantaloupe Valley because that's where they grow so much of the cantaloupes and honeydews in the U.S. Well, there, Chris, you'd be happy to fly out of this place. This is actually where Top Gun is now, and has been since like '97. The vast majority of the south here is the electronic warfare range. Everything to the north and east is all live bombing range. There's quite a few live bombing ranges out there. This is where they host Black Flag every year. Or Red Flag? Black Flag. Red Flag. The Red Flag fighter competition's held out here. Top Gun is now here. The Naval Air Force Weapons School is here. And this is where my son was born. My oldest son was born here in July in the desert. It was 110 degrees Fahrenheit that day. My daughter was born the year before in March, and it was 20 below zero. So there was 132 degree or 130 degree temperature difference between my 2 kids being born. The last one was born up here, but it was born in, it wasn't so cold. There it is. Yeah, I'm a July kid too, so July kids are good. That's Fallon Naval Air Station. Hard to believe that the Navy has a runway out in the middle of a desert. Yeah, Goldfield's in the Tonopah. We're going really close to Goldfield. That's one of the no-fly zones is the Tonopah. The Tonopah test range. Yeah, much cheaper than an aircraft carrier and a lot easier to land at if you make a mistake. And it's not moving up and down. And hello, Brett Pound. Welcome. Very soon we'll be heading back into some more restricted airspace. I love flying out here in the desert and the mountains. Of course, I like flying up here in the mountains too, so it's just mountain flying. Oh, I didn't know Oz was flying. That shows you. I thought I was clear of everybody's. Flights, and I wouldn't interfere. Oh well. I tried. Well, if you dare pass along that I said hi, and thanks again for the getting all the subs to come over. And I didn't know he was on. I hope yours goes well. Mine went, for the first time in 2 updates, mine went absolutely smooth. Smooth as glass. Ah, okay. Got it. This is all still part of the electronics warfare section. No, I get it. He watched him on. He's watching on replay. I gave it a run in VR, and there was some new VR drivers up today as well, and I was terrified of putting everything in it at once. But wow, VR ran so smooth and so nice. I just wish you could do a fixed position for streaming, but just have the VR headset on the fly. That was probably too much to ask. Probably too much for my graphics card to render. Having to render 3 different screens all at once. I know you're looking into it. If you figure it out, pass it on. Because I love flying in VR, but I hate watching people flying in VR. The 2060, 2080? I don't remember. One of the two. Yeah, I always have to start my update, I always have to go to the Windows store, start it there, then go into the game. Over here, all along through here are farms, and that's where I was saying is full of cantaloupe. The whole stretch along this river. I was going to say, I don't think I've ever watched anybody play in Vermont, but that's okay. I thought it'd be fun to do this flight and never actually go into Area 51. Because that's where everybody goes for the no-fly zones, Area 51. So instead we're going to be going into Area 52 and Area 4. And this, like I said, this is all Cantaloupe Farms. This whole river stretch. Walker Lake. Up ahead. And when we go over it, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. I'm going to be screwed if I go someplace where I've never been before, because I'm not going to have anything to talk about. Oh, it's really, if you look carefully as we fly over this lake, you'll notice there are no docks. There's no boats. There's no sign of boats. There's no sign of any docks going into the lake. There's no boat launch. While not a restricted flight area, this lake itself is restricted to going on it. You can't go on it. It just gets a lot of take a boat out there. Yeah, when we were first driving down through on our way to Vegas from up in Carson, I was like, I couldn't understand. There was no homes built along the lake. There was no nothing. It was like a lake in the middle of the desert. You think would have homes everywhere, and get farther down and you see a sign that says U.S. Naval Weapons Testing Center. And you realize they tested Navy weapons in this lake. That's why nobody can have a house on it or a boat or dock. I thought I could hear the rumble going. This is Walker Lake, and like I said, there's no docks, no boats. They used to test battleship guns, torpedoes. Yeah, we're going over that too. It's actually been closed for like, I don't know, 6-7 years. 2017, I think, was the last time they exploded any ordnance there. (2017, 2019). Shit. See if I got my notes up. Yeah, 2017 was the last time it was used. But they used to blow up a lot of ammo. I know when I lived out there, they said the area would be closed over 200 days a year to blow stuff up. And of course we go from Walker Lake, you'll start to notice up ahead everything's all these symmetrical bumps. It's a huge, and I mean huge, weapons storage area, ammo bunkers. When you're driving, I mean flying they seem big, but when you're driving they just go on forever. It seems like there's just goes on and on and on. It's called the Hawthorne Army. What the hell's the name of it? Oh, it's in Hawthorne. Can't think it's the Army Weapons Depot, but I can't think of the full name of it. Getting old stinks. I can't remember any of the names. They had concluded most of the testing by the time I lived out there, the naval testing. They had concluded all the naval testing, so I didn't actually see or hear any of that, and I lived just a little too far away to hear the explosions from the where they would detonate all the ammo. All kinds of just bunkers, house ammunition. And this is only just one of several sites in the U.S. We have a lot of ammo. I agree too. That's what I love. I still am flabbergasted that, like I said, I can get in a plane and fly somewhere where I've actually flown before and recognize where I'm at in a sim, game sim, yeah, sacrilege, game, sim. But that I can actually tell where I'm at. That's the amazing part of that. Also the fact that you can... Oh, here comes somebody in burner. Alright, now I feel like I'm going slow. This is quite a drive if you ever want to take it, but you want to fill up with gas in Carson and make sure your car gets good mileage. Because there's only one little town along the way that's got gas and they charge a mint for it. I think this is the closest we get to a peak at only 9,000. They're already up the valley. They're gone. Just over this ridge right here, we'll come up on that weapons disposal area, which is a good place to put it. I mean, it's literally in the middle of nowhere. Nothing even close to it. There they go again. And here's the disposal area, which for some reason is turning early, but you can see right along here is where they would dig trenches and put the bombs in there and touch them off with explosives. Use secondary explosives to set off and destroy the main explosives. But those explosives are tiny compared to what we're going to see. And watch them rip up the valley. That little valley back there, when it was explosive, when they were actually blowing stuff up, it would be a no-fly zone in the area, all the way to infinite. A while back, yeah. Right. It's Commodore 64. A while back. I think the one I played the most back then was Jet Fighter 2. And I looked at it the other day and it was atrocious. And then I stumbled on my copy of Jet Fighter 3 the other day. Still in the box. Of course, back then I spent most of my time at the actual airport rather than in the game. I would spend the day down. I'd get on my bike, ride it down to the airport, spend the day sweeping the hangars, washing planes, windows, pushing back planes, helping fuel planes. I would do anything I could to get a flight up in the air. I definitely really fun is once I got at the airport all the time, a group of gliders used to come down from Montreal. The Montreal Soaring Council would come down. And of course, being addicted to the airplanes, I had to check them out. I'd ride my bike down in the airport because I'd ride my bike all the time and knew everybody down there. They'd let me ride my bike all the way out to the end of the runway where the gliders are all set up. And then I started the guy started letting me, I thought I was a big shot, they'd let me run out and grab the rope, and the tow rope, and taught me how to hook it to the tow plane and the glider safely. And then I graduated to running wingtip. And then they started taking me up in the tow plane, and then started taking me up in gliders. Oh, I'll bet you had an air show every day. Those crop dusters are crazy. Those guys are nuts. I was on my way to getting my pilot's license, my private pilot's, but I was working for a gentleman that had his own aircraft, and anywhere he went with it, his pilot was a certified instructor, so he would let me go along, and I could get I could log my hours that way. And when I was a kid riding back and forth to the airport, they all put me in the BFR sim, and they all gave me their old books, so I knew I had most of the ground school done by the time I was 16. Yeah, crazy stuff right there. And we wonder why you like to fly down on the ground. Now we know. Then the old man I was working for passed away. The cost of fuel went up. The cost of renting the plane went up. And everything just kind of got out of control. And it got a little too expensive. So I never finished it. My youngest now has his private pilot's license. So. And my dad had his. I was the only one that actually didn't get as far as my solo. Look. That's funny. You looked off the wing and ripped your goggles off. That's a riot. You were 9 and can't remember? I think when I was 9, I was terrified of planes. Then I turned around loving them. I think my dad tried to take me out a couple times when I was a kid, and I just wouldn't go. I'd freak out. Yeah, gliding definitely teaches you about forced landings. I think the first thing that surprised me the most about flying in a glider was how loud it actually is. I mean, granted, you don't have the engine, but the wind noise is a lot more than what I always figured it'd just be insanely quiet. Yep. We're almost ready to enter another restricted area. That's the Tonopah test range coming up. Not too much longer. I did fly hang gliders when I was a kid. And when I was 12 to 14, I flew them. We'd go on vacation every year, and they had them there. And I took the lessons and then rented the hang gliders. And then crashed one. I stalled nose first. Luckily, I wasn't very high or very fast, but just cut myself up a little bit. And then my family changed where we went to vacation, so I didn't have access to the hang gliders anymore, and just got away from it. Guess I like the sim now, especially with VR. Once you're in there, it's as close to flying a real plane as you can get. And the best part is it doesn't cost, well, it does cost a little bit, but it doesn't cost much, and if you make a mistake, you can always restart. This whole section of Nevada, including where there's towns and stuff, was all divided into sections, and that's where each one was considered an area. That's how they come up with Area 51, etc., etc. A whole lot of nothing. Where am I? Yeah, that's true. I do it. I find myself, I'll chat at the start or at the end, and then I just give up in the middle. I actually find landing without VR to be a pain in the butt, because it's difficult to look over and keep your eye on the runway. It's difficult to judge the actual distance you are from the runway. Shoot him down. It's old tech. You're in a Super Hornet. You can take him. Oh, there's always aircraft, because that's the dead direction to Area 51 over there. Definitely some pretty colors out in this part of the world. Shut that damn thing off. Look at those pools of water over there. That probably is a damn gold mine. The wash plant and the... There's a lot of gold out this way. Like you had mentioned, the town of Goldfield. One of the interesting things about the town of Goldfield is the wind erosion eroded all the rest of the minerals away and left the gold just laying there on the ground. When the guy found it, it was just gold laying around everywhere. And for some reason, I've lost Goldfield. I know it's inside the restricted area, but I can't find it. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, without the head tracking, landings are tough. They're definitely tough for sure. And canyon running and stuff like that. Meteorites. You know, they find a lot of meteorites in dry lake beds. One of the guys that we used to work with out when I lived in northern Nevada had a small ultralight plane, and he would just go fly over the dry lake beds like this, and they'd stick out like sore thumbs just sitting there. He'd land his little ultralight, pick it up as a meteorite. He made a fortune selling those things. I guess they find a lot in Antarctica as well, because obviously they stick out like a sore thumb on the snow or the ice as it melts off or wind blows it off. That looks like that's a mine too as well. Hard telling what some of these things are, because back in the day you could actually homestead this land before they put a stop to it. You could, as long as you improved it every year for so many years, you would get a clear title to the land. You could do 22 acres, I believe it was. And as long as you improved it, the government would turn it over to you. Then the government got greedy and stopped people from doing that. You can still stake mining claims in Nevada. No, you can't do homesteading anymore. Yep, 40 acres is a mule. Actually, there's a funny story when you live in Nevada. They all like to tell about on the books in the state of Nevada, when they let you out of jail, they had to give you a shotgun and a horse. The heck was it? Something like $5 a shotgun and a horse. It was on the books. And this guy was getting out of jail and decided he'd sue the state so he could get his horse and his shotgun and his $5. And they all right, we don't need to go to court. We'll give that to you. And as soon as he stepped out of the jail, they handed him the shotgun. And, of course, that's a felon in possession of a firearm. And they arrested him, took him right back in, violating his parole and felon committing another crime. And I'll bet that whole side of that mountain right there was cut out by a gold mine. Gold or silver. Where the hell? Yeah, Goldfield's got to be close. Ah, right there. K-God, Goldfield Airport. And we just entered the Tonopah Test Range restricted area for flights. It's definitely a no-fly zone. Well, I didn't even look. They definitely do some interesting. I mean, they do some great things in some out of the way places. But man, when I went to Portimao today in Portugal, I was really just. They didn't touch it. It's like that was kind of bummed. I'm going to have to fly out and see if they have the little alien out in Rachel. Tonopah Test Range, where they did a lot of the, and still do a lot of the radar testing. This is where they radar tested the F-117 when they first were flying it. They would try to. They first put it up on a stand and painted it with radar, see if they could see it or not, and at different angles. And then they started flying it to see what they could and couldn't see. Yeah, so did I. You have to go in and click buy and download after. Yeah, I flew 2 or 3 flights in Australia with everybody and couldn't figure out why I couldn't see what they could see. I had no idea. I had to go in and buy it separately. I mean, it's free, but you had to buy it, quote unquote, buy it and then download it. I had no idea. I gotta go shooting soon. The weather's finally getting better. There we go. I think about the only thing you shoot out here would be jackrabbits, occasional Roadrunner. If you get into the right mountains, you get some bighorn sheep. A whole lot of lizards. When I first moved out there, though, and I saw my first Sidewinder, I was laughing because I didn't realize they were so tiny. I guess I'd always figured them being big like a timber rattler. They're a little tiny snake. Yeah, coming up here. Oh, I can't remember exactly where it is. We should be going over. Not much farther. We should be going over an actual old bomb calibration site. Is that it? That's not it. Yeah, that might be one of them. But that's not the one I'm looking for. Nope. Hold on. I gotta let my dog out. Get this thing out the way. They actually have laser sights around here that are actual laser defense systems. This is an area where you would be pretty much shot down without given too much of a warning. You'd be warned to get out and then shot down rather quickly. It's another thing that's amazing about this game is being able to fly places you just couldn't fly. That you'd never be able to fly in real life. You can tell you're getting closer to Area 51 because there's more and more planes over there. So everybody wants to fly there. Technically right now we're in Area 52. And we're actually headed for, I do believe it's Area 6. Yeah, the government owns a whole lot of land they don't want people on. As I can understand keeping some of it secreted out in the middle of nowhere. To keep people from seeing stuff you don't want them to see makes sense, but well, they have a lot of it. Oop, gotta let dog back in. Sorry about that, I bumped the microphone. Like after we come up over this next ridge, I'm going to hand fly the rest of this for some fun. And get a little bit closer and check out a few of the things that we see along the way. Did I miss the good bomb calibration site? Probably. Ah, I missed it. It's only going to be a matter of time before the other dog wants to head out. Two dogs, they pretty much tolerate each other. They play once in a great while together, and the rest of the time but most of the time they just tolerate each other. I missed that bomb site. thing. I have no idea where it went. Let me dump this clown out real quick. The good thing is that dog will stay out for an hour. Okay, let's do a little hand flying time. There. Right dead ahead of us is the second largest bomb crater in the world. The largest is in Russia. This is the Sedan crater. It's part of the Plowshare nuclear test where they were trying to figure out just how much Earth they could move. And in doing so, they pumped all that radioactive dirt into the air and spread it over several thousand American citizens that didn't even know there was a test as the wind carried it eastward. I think actually it was in the millions that were exposed. Right there, Sedan crater. And we're going over what's called this is called the most bombed place on Earth. More nuclear weapons have been set off right in this stretch than anywhere else in the world. Every dimple you see, every crater you come across was a nuclear detonation. Most of them, like these, were all underground detonations. I actually felt the last underground nuclear test. We were in Vegas, which isn't real far away from here. When it went off, you could actually feel the ground shake. It's hard to believe we did this on purpose. That we can literally be this destructive. Yeah, and every crater is a nuke crater. What's really interesting is you can take a tour of this place. They do it like once a month. You have to sign up ahead of time. You can't be a convicted felon. There's a bunch of hoops you got to jump through. You can't take your cell phone because it's got a camera, and you can't take any kind of camera recording equipment with you at all. But they will take you on a tour, and you get to get up close and see Sedan crater and several other famous things like the buildings that were blasted in the old movies you always see. But you know, you realize every one of these craters was a nuclear detonation. It's insane. It literally is on a level of insanity that makes no sense. It doesn't make sense to me. I get this whole mad thing, mutually assured destruction. As long as we both can blow each other up, we won't blow each other up. Yeah, whatever. But still, so many craters. This whole area. Every kind of nuclear detonation you could ever think of, from shot out of a cannon to nuclear missiles. Now, right ahead of us is really something interesting. A little more fun. Not quite as grim as all the nuclear craters, but this runway up here, you'll notice, is not on the map. The one that's on the map is on the right. This will be on the in front of us or on the left. Even Area 51's on the map. This runway, not on the map. Does not have a designation. This runway has no official designation. The only thing that the government has said about it, because obviously satellite pictures have shown it, and it's fairly new, is that it's used for unmanned aerial vehicle testing. Yeah, Yucca Flats, the Nevada test site. That's where we are. But that is used for UAV testing, this runway right here. And that's about it. Next we're heading into Mercury, the final destination. We can all watch me make a fool of myself trying to land this thing for the first time. I said I only flew it once. I didn't land it. Figure might as well have fun and try to land it on stream for the first time. I figure you're going too fast. Try to chase you down. Yeah, if you happen to ever be in Vegas, it's always worth checking to see if the tour's going on. If they are, they pick you up and drop you off back in Vegas. And it's free. So, that's always handy. But you do have to sign up ahead of time so they can kind of do a minor background check on you. And foreign nationals are allowed to go. So. Oh, you're killing me. God, you're so low. Alright. I have to find an airport around here somewhere. It'll be almost right dead ahead of us. Doing good, but I ended up going too fast. Alright. Where the hell's this airport? Right over this ridge. In the big town of Mercury, Nevada. Pull the power back. There's the runway. And man, there's more F-18. There's another F-18 up there. Go get him. Oh, who the heck is that? That stupid thing. Oh, Big Jacko. Looks like he's... Nothing like making a late turn in there, Big Jacko. You think? Ready to go around? And I'm way too hot and high. See if we can't rescue this landing. I'm going to float. Going for the crosswinds. Now one of these days I'll actually be able to figure out the how to use the drone so I can watch other people land. Where'd he go? Oh, he's over there. No pressure. Hey, thanks for coming along. It was a short one I figured I'd do to just keep busy. Definitely thanks for coming along. Tuesday's the big flight. The next leg of the Around the World tour. And then after that I'm gonna put together... Oh, he bounced like I did. God, put it on the ground. You can get it. There he goes. Yeah, I'll have to try to figure out how the hell to set it up so it works on the controller and on the Microsoft Xbox controller and all that mess. But hopefully maybe next week we can do some... I'll put together some sort of low and slow bush flying for Thursday and do some takeoff challenges instead of landing challenges. See how short of a distance we can get in the air. And thank you all for coming along and flying where we're not supposed to fly. And you all, let's see if I can even find what keys I got where, which of course I can't.